why doesn't the Earth have the same climate everywhere? Climate has been described as the weather in a place measured over a long period of time. A large area covering thousands of square miles, or a small area like one side of a mountain may each have a climate of its own. The average temperature of a place is one clue to its climate, but several things cause an area to have a certain climate. One of these is how far north or south the area is located. Climate is also affected by large lakes and oceans. Winds have a lot to do with climate. Large masses of cold, hot, dry, or wet air may move across the country. Mountains and mountain ranges affect climate near them. Height above sea level or altitude changes climate. And the amount of water in the air and how much falls as rain or snow has an effect on the climate of an area. Let's look at each of the things that causes climate, and maybe you can tell what causes the climate where you live. How far north or south of the equator you are determines the angle of the sun's rays on you. The direct rays of the sun near the equator are the warmest. Sunlight that strikes the Earth at an angle is spread out and not as warm. This is why it is cooler the further you are from the equator. The climate near the equator stays warm all year long. However, as you go toward the poles, spring, summer, fall, and winter become more noticeable. This is because the Earth tilts as it goes around the sun. The Earth's northern area is tilted towards the sun in summer, begins to tilt away in spring and fall, then tilts farthest away from the sun in winter. This gives us our seasons. The sun's rays are nearly straight down in summer, a little bit slanted in spring and fall, and more slanted in winter. So climate changes with the seasons, especially if you are far north or south of the equator. Much of the Earth is covered with water. Oceans and large lakes have a great effect on climate. Since the temperature of water changes slowly, land temperatures near large bodies of water get cold slowly and warm up slowly. For instance, the Pacific Ocean keeps the temperatures in Seattle, Washington rather mild compared to places like the Dakotas in central United States that are the same distance north but far from the ocean. Ocean currents also have an effect on the climate of areas near them. The Atlantic Ocean has a current of warm water that flows up the coast of North America. This warm current is called the Gulf Stream. This warm water raises the temperature of the East Coast and gives it a milder climate than areas further inland. In the Pacific Ocean, a warm current flows up past China and Japan and down the coast of the United States. This gives Japan a mild climate. This current still has enough warmth to help give places like Seattle on the northwest coast a rather mild climate. Florida has warm seas on 3 sides. This gives Florida an almost tropical climate. Wind also changes climate. Wind is caused by the sun's uneven heating of the Earth's surface. In North America, winds often blow out of the west. Cool, moist air blows from the west, moving across the country. However, air doesn't always move from west to east. Sometimes cold air masses come down from the Arctic north. Warm, moist air may also rise up from the south. In the midsection of the country, when these air masses meet along this line, thunderstorms and violent tornadoes erupt. How do mountain ranges change the climate of areas near them? The ranges along the western part of North America cause differences of climate in areas which are only a few miles apart. Air that is full of moisture sweeps in from the Pacific Ocean. When this moisture moves up the western sides of the mountains, it is cooled and drops much of its moisture as rain and snow. This happens because cooling air can't hold as much water. So the western slopes of the mountains have rivers, streams, and are green with plants and trees. As the air moves down the eastern slopes, it is warmed and does not drop the little moisture left in it. This is called the rain shadow. Since these slopes get little rain, fewer plants and trees grow. This low country is often a desert. Climate also changes with altitude or height above sea level. Good examples of this are some mountains in the deserts of the Southwest. This mountain has a desert all around its base. But the mountain gets more rain and is cooler near the top, as much as 30 or 40 degrees cooler. As we start up the mountain, we notice it is a little cooler as we come to an area of oak trees. Still further up, pine trees take over from the oaks. Near the top, where the most rain and some snow falls and the temperature is quite cool, fir and spruce trees grow. It is cold enough near the top that people are able to play in the snow in winter, and yet they are surrounded by warm desert. These changes are called climate zones. The top of a mountain is cooler and wetter than the bottom because of two things. First, the air gets thinner as you go up the mountain, so less air absorbs less heat of the sun and does not warm the mountaintop very much. Second, as the air cools, it loses water, holding less warmth from the sun. Because of these two reasons, a mountain is cooler and gets more rain and snow the higher you go. So, going a few thousand feet up a mountain through the different climate zones is something like taking a long trip north from the deserts of the southwest to the cold country of the far north. Both the deserts and the mountains have big changes in temperature between day and night. The dry air of the desert, or the thin air of the high mountains, has so little water that it loses heat very rapidly at sundown. On the other hand, air at sea level in damp places like the tropics has a lot of water in it. This warm, moist air holds daytime heat, which it then releases slowly all night, so the temperature difference between night and day is not very great. The Earth has many different climates. Climate is the normal weather in a place over a long period of time. Several things cause different places to have different climates, such as the angle of the sun's rays, which depends on how far north or south of the equator you are. Also, the tilting of the Earth as it goes around the sun gives us our seasons. Large bodies of water and the heat in the water. Winds and masses of air that move across the country. Mountains which act as rain barriers and change the temperature of the air. The amount of water in the air. And altitude, or height above sea level, changes the climate greatly. These are some of the main things that give each spot on Earth a climate all its own.